Do people who voted for President Trump prefer EMacs or Vim or Notepad? What text editor do they use? Another question. Who is happier with their life? Just in general, people who prefer tabs or spaces. Who is more likely to support online censorship of social media platforms and the like? Programmers in Rust or C? Do you know the answer to any of these questions? I definitely do not know the answer to these questions, but I really, really need to know the answer to these questions. And while these may seem a bit silly, there's a lot of truly important and deep and profound questions that we also need answers related to usage patterns of operating systems and web browsers and demographics like age or religion or politics impacting what software people use or how people approach the organization of their companies and projects. There's so many questions that I think many of us have that it would be nice to be able to answer. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's sit down together and answer those questions right here and right now. I present to you the Great Tech Industry Demographic Survey of 2025. I've done these surveys in the past before, but never quite this massive or expansive. The number of questions that are being asked in this survey is absolutely huge, and here's how you can take part. Go to lunduke.com. In the middle of lunduke.com, there's a link that says, "Take the Great Tech Industry Demographic Survey of 2025. It rolls off the tongue, right? That will take you over to this survey. Now, some things that you should know about the survey. It's hosted by Google because they provided the best tool to get the job done in this case. However, it is set up to not require a Google account to use, and absolutely no personal information is collected in the survey. I don't know your IP address. I don't know your email address. It is entirely anonymous, right? All of it. I can't trace it back to your country of origin, nothing. So even if you don't like Google, don't have a Google account, open this up in a incognito mode, routed through the Onion network in 8 different VPNs, and then take the Great Tech Industry Demographic Survey of 2025. Now, we did one of these last year, a much smaller version. And last year's version of this had over 7,200 people that responded to it. Which was absolutely amazing. Huge amounts of data from across the industry. People working at a wide variety of companies. This was shared to communities far and wide. It wasn't just people who listen to and enjoy the Lunduke Journal taking part of it. It was all over the industry. People from a wide variety of political backgrounds. And that's the point here. The survey does not itself lean towards any one particular point of view. In fact, as you are going through this, you may feel like, oh man, some of these questions are ridiculous. Why would I, of my particular viewpoint, ever think any of this stuff? All of the questions are very carefully selected to gather as much data as possible of real world viewpoints from a wide variety of political views, of views on software licensing and the like. It's really all over the map. Let's break last year's numbers. 7,200 was where we hit last year. I think we can break 10,000 submissions this year. Easy. I think we can easily do that. So if you take the survey, go tell other people to take it. If you're in a retro video game group, send it over to them. If you work in a group of people that deal with Kubernetes and Docker clusters all day, send it over to them. If you work with people that deal with HR stuff at a tech company, send it over to them too. Let's get as many responses as we can so we can get an accurate set of data. Now, what's great about the size of the sample that we're talking about here is it's significantly larger than the vast majority of political polls that happen. Within the United States, for example, when we have a big presidential election, Many of the polls that come out that show this presidential candidate's leading by 7.5 points. Well, most of those polls have hundreds or the low thousands of total respondents, right? Let's hit it out of the park, because last year's numbers of 7,000 was already way bigger than the vast majority of those presidential election polls. With 10,000, we can get even bigger. And we have a huge enough amount of data that we're gonna be able to figure out some really funky stuff from this. There's a lot of questions. It may seem daunting at first. As you're scrolling through the page, it's long, but each question is very, very quick. You don't have to do any math here. Just scroll through, read it, and punch in your knee-jerk reaction. Tabs or spaces. Choose tabs or spaces. Boom, you move right along. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out the entire survey. Again, no data is collected. I don't want your data. I don't collect your data, nothing. When the survey is complete, when we finish collecting everything, what we get is a giant spreadsheet, a giant, insane, slow to load because it's huge spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is then going to be used to analyze the data that we got. I'm going to take a first pass at analyzing the data. I'll put out some shows, I'll put out some articles, maybe a couple of fun infographics of what I found and what I thought was interesting. But then what I think is going to be even more fun than that is I'm going to have other people take a crack at it. I'm going to start opening it up and saying, hey, take a look at this data. Take a look at this massive spreadsheet of thousands and thousands of IT industry people and nerds and everyone coming in to talk about a wide variety of subjects, from what web browser they use to how many kids they have and what their politics are, and some hypothetical questions thrown in there. You have at it. Find the weird correlations. Find crazy stats. Do people who use Notepad also prefer to use Firefox? Do you know if there's a correlation between those user groups? Let's find out, shall we? So again, go to lunduke.com, right in the middle of the page, the Great Tech Industry Demographic Survey of 2025. Take it. Send it around, send people this video, send people the link over there to lunduke.com. Just send it on over to them. Point them in that direction. Let's see how many people we can get over the next, say, week or two to really just fill this thing up with a massive amount of data for us to analyze. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Go take the survey. By the way, this video is almost 8 minutes now. If you'd started the survey when this video started, you'd be almost done with the survey, or you would be done if you read really fast. So go take the survey, and thank you. Thank you very much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.